Do you want a brew?
Hey up, you've come back.
We're here.
Thank you for coming back. Welcome to Terrifying and Twisted. What we're going to do first of all is me and Carla will introduce herself a little bit more so you can get to know us, feel like you're in the room with us. Current situation is me and Carla both sat on fishing chairs with a microphone in his bedroom.
We are.
And we're trying. Hopefully we get better and you guys enjoy what we're putting out. If you don't like what we're putting out, then please
Let us know.
let us know.
Yeah, we can only get better if people give us some guidance.
And there's no saying that we'll take any notice of you anyway.
No, but
so.
you're not supposed to say that. We also want Lee to introduce himself, don't we?
We do.
But we think that's going to be better waiting for Lee to do it, because for people to understand just what Lee's like, get the Lee effect, I think it's best he introduces himself. He won't take any offence to that. We've been good friends for many years, so...
We have. What we're going to do is, every podcast, we're going to try and make it raw and uncut. So there'll be pronunciation mistakes.
Some swearing.
Some swearing. Who don't like to swear, though?
Some people get offended. If you do get offended by swearing, I'd probably say this podcast
It's not for you.
No. I tell you what we need to do as well. We need to let you guys understand how raw it's going to be. I've no idea what Phil's first case is going to be, and vice versa.
Nope.
So we've no idea. We've got such a mutual love for as documentaries, as research, and everything that we do when it comes to any sort of true crime, into but what we want to do for his podcast is as raw reaction.
Yep.
That's what we want.
Yep. So, Carla, what
Yes.
got you into true crime?
Do you know, I remember a case about a little boy. It weren't a like serial killer or anything like that, but it were a few years ago and it were on news. Most people say like Ted Bundy, don't they, and Rose West. No, it were nothing like that. A little boy apparently just vanished out of thin air. And I knew from get-go it just didn't sit right with me. And I remember sat with Lauren and Kerry and saying, I call bullshit, basically. And it did turn out that it were his mum.
Yeah.
So after that, I got right into sort of true crime. But then when you started your podcast listening, you listen to so many podcasts, all big ones that have been out for years.
Yeah,
you come home and tell me all your random facts.
Exactly. So basically, a few years ago, I was a window cleaner, and part of being a window cleaner is you can listen to your music. Soon got bored of music. I've always had an interest in true crime, so I got on podcasts, and I listened to a lot of podcasts about your famous serial killers, your not so famous serial killers, if that's what you want to call them, famous. My personal opinion is they're all pieces of shit. Some are just bigger pieces of shit than others.
I think that there's a difference. We're not trying to idolise them, are we?
No.
It's the case that fascinates you.
Yeah.
The motive or lack of.
Yep.
Because we've seen that many times.
All nitty gritty.
Yeah, and you know, you can watch as many documentaries, but until you've sat and watched a good few on the same serial killer, I don't think you get a big enough picture, do you? Because how many have we watched and certain, they've left this out, or why aren't they mentioned that? So you need to watch a few to get sort of big picture. So it's not that we idolise them,
No.
we just find the cases interesting, don't we?
We do. And that's probably why you're listening as well, because you're just like us.
Yeah. And do you know what? There's so many.
Yeah.
So many. Well, you know, we're in that many Facebook groups, aren't we, that have got thousands upon thousands of members.
So, a bit of insight on me and Carla. We're married. Happily.
Yep, going on 9 years, been together 12.
Yeah, 3 kids.
A dog.
And they're all annoying.
Yeah. You know
in
what?
In their own way.
That's only time we're going to stop this, isn't it?
Yeah.
If one of 3 kids come and knock, because we are just in his bedroom. They kind of know what we're doing.
We're definitely not in the studio.
No, we're not. We're just in his little house, in his little bedroom, with his mic, 2 fishing chairs set up, and just having a conversation.
So that's a bit about us. It's not much, but I dare say you'll get to know us a bit more as the podcasts go on.
Yeah, I think once we get a bit more relaxed as well, because a bit more natural, let's say.
Yeah, we just want to be normal. I don't like all the editing stuff. I know some stuff will need editing out, hence the kids. But apart from that, I'd want our reactions to these stories to be as natural as possible.
Yeah, definitely. That's why we've got to, again, it will have swearing in.
So, if you've tuned into this first episode and you've skipped past all shit that we've just spouted, we'll start getting into stories. So
Phil's got you going first, aren't you?
I've got to go first, yes.
First podcast, first case.
Pressure.
So tell me.
So, this podcast, this story, this was one of those cases that just genuinely scared me.
That takes a lot as well.
Yeah. We've all heard about the boogeyman. Now, this vile creature is what I consider to be a boogeyman.
Alright, okay.
A real life boogeyman.
Alright, interesting.
Right. So here we go. I hope you've got your brews ready.
Yeah, we love a good brew, as you can tell. Yorkshire folk, Yorkshire tea.
Get your brew ready, get your alcohol ready, get your cigs ready, keep your kids out at room.
Yeah, do what you need to do.
Because we're going in now. Balls deep.
Let's have it.
Right. So, I'll take you to a place called the island of Jersey.
Okay.
Right? So, the island of Jersey...
Is that not the really small thing?
It is.
Small place,
It is, yeah. Let me just get my notes up. So, it's a really small place. It's famous for its woolen trade and Jersey cows, which I've heard of. So, this is how small this place is. It's 46 square miles.
That's it.
That's it. Right, so I'll take you back to 1957. All the way back to 1957 November. So, 29-year-old nurse is waiting for a bus in, wait for the pronunciation, Montelab.
Okay.
Sounds right to me. So she's waiting for a bus. This man approaches her, takes her into a field, ties her up, sexually assaults her.
Okay.
The only thing that she can remember is that he smelled musty and he had an Irish accent.
Alright.
Okay? Coming March, so that's November.
Okay.
The coming March, another 20-year-old female from a bus stop, rope round her neck, taken to a nearby field and brutally sexually assaulted.
So he's took it up a notch?
Yeah.
Alright.
July that year, 31-year-old female at a bus stop.
So, yeah.
Rope round the neck, taken to a local field and brutally sexually assaulted.
Right. So
now the next victim, a young girl. I've tried to find her age. I cannot find her age.
So this would be 5th victim one. Yeah. But you don't know her age?
No, this is a bit 4th victim.
Right.
But I don't know her age. It just says, all I can find out is that she's a young girl.
But we're not sure how young.
We're not sure how young. So she's from the parish of Groville. This is August 1959.
Okay.
Taken to a field, brutally sexually assaulted.
Again.
Yep. Next is a 28-year-old woman She lived in the parish of St Martin's, and she was taken to a field, brutally sexually assaulted in October 1959. So, the police had linked similar things through the victims that had already been sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
So, what they got together was a man, early mid-40s, 5.5 inches, 5 and 6 inches tall, Irish accent.
Yeah.
His MO, obviously, rope, tying him up, brutally sexually assaulting him. Allegedly, he wore a rope or cord round his waist. So he was.
Oh, so what are they called? Monks?
I'm not sure.
They have the rope tied round, like, so it looks like they're in a long.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the musty smell. Obviously, restrained victims by tying him up, so he could have used that rope round his stomach.
Yeah,
for that.
yeah.
Okay, so 1960, the Beast of Jersey changes MO. He starts targeting people indoors.
So he's took it up a notch again.
Yeah. So victims become more frequent, and a lot more violent. Valentine's 1960, 12-year-old boy asleep.
No way.
In the region of Grand Vow, the Beast of Jersey climbed in through his bedroom window, tied a rope round his neck, led him outside, brutally sexually assaulted him. Next month, 25-year-old woman walking to a bus stop in St Brelade, I'm assuming that says. A car pulled up, offered her a lift, basically saying that he were a doctor and he were on his way to pick up his wife.
So she'll have thought no threat, won't
So she took the lift.
Yeah.
Took her to a field, brutally raped her like the piece of shit he is, put her back in the car. And
so he didn't kill her?
No, he didn't kill her.
Alright.
He put her back in the car, and as he were trying to put her back in the car, she got away. Now, the only thing that she could tell the police about him is he had a cap, a big coat, and gloves. She couldn't really see what he looked like facially.
So he's obviously been properly covered up then, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
So, March 1960, a 43-year-old mother and a 14-year-old daughter lived in a quiet cottage at St Martin Parish. They were awoke at 12:30 with the phone ringing downstairs.
Right.
Went and answered it. Nobody there. 1 hour later, they awoke to a noise at the bottom of the stairs. All lights go out, and they can hear someone moving in the living room.
I don't even know what you'd do.
I'd absolutely fucking shit myself. Well, first thing I do is get my bat.
Yeah, but we're not talking nowadays, though, are we?
Oh no. So they go downstairs.
See, that's what I wouldn't do. I ain't going down there to check.
The phone's been cut, and he appears.
And it's dark.
And it's dark.
Right.
So the Beast of Jersey appears. He asks for money.
So that he never asked anybody else, though, did he?
No. So
oh, well, we don't know, actually.
basically, the mother came downstairs
Yeah.
to check this noise. Phone line's been cut. He stood in her living room and asks her for money. Now, as this is happening, he hears the daughter upstairs.
Right.
So what the mother does is she runs out of the cottage to raise the alarm.
Leaving a 14-year-old daughter in there?
Yeah. When she gets back to the cottage, after raising alarm, her 14-year-old daughter's there alive, but as you can imagine, she's been
brutally raped.
Awfully raped by the Beast of Jersey.
My God.
So, then we go to April 1960. Not a lot of details on this one that I could find, but allegedly a 14-year-old girl in La Roque, if that's pronounced right.
That's somewhere new, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awfully raped by this piece of shit. July 1960, an 8-year-old boy taken.
He don't give a fuck, does he?
Taken from his home, sexually assaulted, and then dumped back on his doorstep.
Alive?
On his doorstep, sorry. Yeah. February 1961, a 12-year-old boy in Mount Conchin. Same MO, led outside, raped, and dropped back on his doorstep. March 1961, an 11-year-old boy.
Again.
Same MO from St Saviour. April 1961, 11-year-old girl from St Martin's. So
they're just getting more and more frequent, aren't they?
At this time he's been at large nearly 4 years.
Yeah.
So the island of Jersey decided to get the Scotland Yard involved, and they appoint Detective Superintendent Jack Mannings. Basically what he did is he asked all islanders to turn detective. So press they were issued with an identity kit, which I'm assuming is like a description of this beast of Jersey. So,
not a lot to go off though.
Not a lot. Allegedly it went like this. The beast has always struck at night. It only struck on moonlight weekends between hours of 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. Now it got me thinking this, because obviously in olden days people used to leave the doors open all the time.
Of course they did, everything used to be unlocked. How many times my nana says to me, back in my day.
Yeah. So
there were no breaking in.
He obviously had knowledge of Ireland, so they reckon he was an islander. Described between 40 45 years old. Like I said, 5'6" inches tall. Moustache, average build. Usually wearing like a big thick raincoat, which gave off this smell. Yeah.
Right.
A peaked hat and some gloves. His face were always covered with a face mask or a scarf covering the lower part of his face. He carried a torch with him in his attacks, and on this torch he'd sellotaped over so it only let out a little bit of light.
So not full beam.
Yeah. His methods followed a distinctive pattern. His victims were selected carefully. Usual method of entry was a bedroom window. Once inside, they were quick, quiet, usually blindfolded them, tied the victim's hands, rope round the neck, and then they were taken to a nearby field.
So how did he get them back out through them windows? I'm assuming he hadn't walked through the house.
We don't know, do we? So they were obviously taken to a nearby field and suffered sexual assault, then returned home. Allegedly, the Beast of Jersey spoke quite often during these attacks. His voice was like a really soft Irish accent. He'd mentioned a few times that he had a wife, a dead mother who died of alcoholism, that he'd killed people before.
How interesting that he actually has that sort of conversation while doing such awful things. Very lonely man then.
Yeah. He often made a point that he dropped his cigs or his lighter.
Oh, that's a really good tactic though, isn't it, to divert? Because if he's not a smoker anyway.
Every possible man was looked at on the island. All men with criminal records were questioned and interviewed, but the beast was still not found. So, then we arrive at April 1963. So nothing's happened for the last 2 years.
In them 2 years, is this when the police have been doing their investigations?
I assume so.
Yeah.
So, April 1963, a 9-year-old boy from St Saviour.
So he strikes again.
Same MO. November 1963, an 11-year-old boy. In St Saviour again, same MO. July 1964, 10-year-old girl from Trinity Parish. August 1964, a 16-year-old boy from Grewville Parish. I think that's pronounced. So he hasn't got a certain...
No, there's no pattern to ages. There's no pattern to male, female.
No.
It don't matter to him, does it?
So it goes missing again. And we arrive at 1966. And the police get a letter from someone alleged to be the Beast of Jersey.
All right.
So it goes like this. My dear sir, I think that it is just the time to tell you that you are just wasting your time.
What an arrogant piece of shit.
As every time I have done what I have always intended to do, and remember, it will not stop at this. But I will be fair to you and give you a chance. I have never had much out of this life, but I intend to get everything I can now. I've always wanted to do the perfect crime. I have done this, but this time let the moon shine very bright in September, because this time it must be perfect. Not one, but two. I am not a maniac by a long shot, but I like to play with you people. You will hear from me before September, and I will give you all the clues to see if you can catch me. Yours, very sincerely, Wait and See.
No way.
How creepy is that?
I think he comes across as a very arrogant prick. One that's clearly... What's he wanting revenge for? Has he had a really shit upbringing?
Who knows?
Continue.
So August 1966, a 15-year-old girl taken out, brutally raped. And she was from Trinity Parish. Same MO as the Beast of Jersey. However, this time there were strange long scratches, regularly spaced and parallel on the victim's torso, which I'm assuming would be like kind of like a Freddy Krueger slash.
Yeah.
So
that's how I imagine it.
Yeah. August 1970, 13-year-old boy in Valle d'Avaux, if that's how you say it, taken out of his house, torching his face, taken to the field, returned in the morning, threatened the child, said if you tell anyone I'll kill all your family.
Nice.
But the description this boy gives is the perpetrator had black spiky hair and a mask.
But had he not always wore his hat?
Mm. And the same scratches are found on the 13-year-old boy and the 15-year-old girl.
And they're
4 years apart.
Yeah, so is this not a copycat then?
Right. So, allegedly, they interviewed over 30,000 people.
That must have been time consuming. Back in that day, anyway.
Yeah. During this time,
I've got a feeling that's not the same person as before.
do you think?
Well, it's different.
Well, let's see. At one stage, a lot of the islanders had a suspicion that it was one of the islanders, going by the name of Alphonse La Gasteloy. It was a local fisherman. He was arrested, but then released through lack of evidence. However, the islanders felt that strong about Alphonse La Gasteloy. They burnt down his cottage.
Nice.
In an act of arson. So, fearing for his life, he fled to a small group of islands where he spent 14 years living off the land.
So he was run out of his own home.
He was run out of his home and the island.
Nice.
So, 10th of July 1971. Officers John Riseborough and Tom McGinn. I can't read my own bloody handwriting. McGinn Montgomery are out and about round the St Helier area. It's about midnight, and a small Morris saloon car jumps some red lights while they sat there.
Okay.
So obviously, police go after him. They chase him high speed for a few miles. This car goes on wrong side of the road, down footpaths, swiping past other cars, and finally it crashes into a hedge and stops in the middle of a tomato field, of all things.
Right. So they get him?
Yeah.
Right, sorry, yeah, go on. Tomato field crashed.
So police write their own car off, trying to catch this man.
Yeah.
They catch him in tomato field, rugby tackle him to the floor, and he's arrested. They get him back to the police station. He's got a big raincoat on. On his shoulders are 1-inch nails. On his lapels on his jacket are 1-inch nails. On his clove bands on his wrists, 1-inch nails. His lapels on his jacket, 1-inch nails.
Right.
He's got his trousers tucked in socks. Bit like a chav. Carpet slippers, which could be why he's so quiet.
Yeah.
Woolen gloves. And then they go in his pockets. They pull out a torch with tape on for your bit of light.
Rope.
2 lengths of sash cord.
Yeah.
His peaked woolen cap. Empty cig packet. Rolls of tape. And a black wig with spiky hair.
Oh, right.
And the final thing that they pull out is the mask. Now, you people that are listening to this, if you have not heard this case before, as soon as you have finished this case that I'm telling you, you have got to Google the Beast of Jersey to see this mask, to appreciate just how fucking creepy this shit is.
Right, come on, are you going to show me? Because I've never seen it.
Do you want to see it now?
Yeah, please.
2 seconds. Sorry about this, people.
I might as well see it now, because you've told me. I don't want to wait till end. Oh my God.
That's what he wore as he terrorised this small island.
Them poor kids. As an adult, that's disgusting. Right, well, anyone that's listening now, maybe go Google. Google that mask and then you can see why it was pretty scary.
Horrific.
Yeah.
So, police think, we've got him. This is his man.
Yep.
So this gentleman, well, say gentleman, piece of shit. Edward John Lewis Paisnel. Born in Jersey.
So he wore a Jersey man.
Yeah. He came from a well-off family. He was a building contractor.
Do you know what? Complete total opposite of everything that I thought.
Married. A daughter. 2 stepchildren.
How old?
Now, Edward Paisnel,
Yeah.
according to everyone who knew him, was just a normal man. Like a
Your
lot of these
average.
people are.
Yeah, of course they are. Your
This-
normal average.
This is the kind of man, get this, that served a month in jail during German World War II for stealing food for starving families. That's
How
the kind of man he appeared to be.
My God.
So, him and his wife, they separated after the birth of daughter. He lived in a large annex at the side of the house. Everyone thought he were a kind, nice man.
How wrong were they?
He were a bit of an insomniac, they thought, because he used to take late night walks. His
No,
wife...
he was just out there killing and raping these poor kids and...
Not killing.
Oh, no, he didn't kill any of them, did he?
His wife considered him to be normal, and she even thought he had a low sex drive. Now, at the time of arrest, he had a mistress. But get this, his wife Joan has wrote a book about this.
Right.
So that'd be interesting to read, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Now, his wife Joan, she ran a foster home called La Preference. Ed, as we could call him. He was the handyman for there. He was the Santa.
He had the access to all them vulnerable children.
Yeah, played Santa every year. They used to call him Uncle Ted. That's how
sick.
And in there he was.
Oh, he were in there, wasn't he?
It were alleged that he had attacked some of these children at this foster home. They were alleged that he got one of the young girls pregnant. He used to chloroform them.
Knock them out.
Which is different to the rope.
Yeah.
So
that wasn't enough for him no more.
So you were interviewed. Now, what do you think he's going to say?
Well, he can't exactly deny it, can he?
Want to bet?
Fuck off. Fuck off.
So he's interviewed. What were you doing? Where were you going? Why did you run this red light? He replies, I'm on my way to an orgy.
Right.
He borrowed the car. The nails on his jacket, it was for self-defence, in case people knew martial arts at this orgy.
What a weird excuse.
He didn't say anything about the mask and wig, even though he'd clearly got marks on his face where he'd worn the wig.
Yeah.
So they searched his home. They found the musty smell. A few raincoats, homemade wigs, false eyebrows, photos of people's houses, black magic, paraphernalia, a homemade altar, a large curved wooden sword hung on the wall. There were evidence of blood rituals and animal sacrifice.
I don't understand how somebody to that extreme can be this complete polar opposite to every single person around them. Because that's not just, you know, he were a bit quiet, but he were alright. You know, everyone thought he was genuinely this really, really nice guy.
Yeah.
And he is on the complete opposite scale.
Turns out he's a massive, vile piece of shit.
Yeah.
On a piece of shit scale, he's up there.
Definitely.
Right. So, it was alleged that he was obsessed with a French army leader called Gilles de Rayas, and he was best known for his reputation of a confessed serial killer of children. So apparently he modelled himself on him, 15th century. So yeah, that's some fucked up shit.
I can't... The one that I'm really struggling with not being able to understand the complete difference in terms of how nice somebody can be.
Yeah.
To the point that he spent time in jail for stealing food for starving people. So he was willing to put himself in jail to help others. He had a wife, he had his kid, you know, to then this...
He played Santa every year.
And he had this complete other life.
Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
So...
I'm glad I didn't research him, you know. I'm glad I didn't know anything about him.
Never explained why. He talked in riddles, point blank refused to answer, or he'd say prove it. didn't give the police anything.
So I bet he never admitted to sending that letter then, did he?
So, trial in 1971, November. See, the letter was confirmed by his wife as his handwriting.
Right, yeah.
Trial in 1971 of November. He was charged on 13 counts of rape, indecent assault, sodomy against 6 victims, 1 being a minor.
Why only 6?
Who knows? Maybe they didn't have enough evidence for the rest of them. But it is believed that he has over 100 victims.
Right.
Because there's a lot of time.
There's gaps, isn't there?
There's gaps.
Yeah.
And what we've usually learned watching true crime, listening to true crime, is in these gaps they tend to carry on doing what they're doing.
I think once you're at that level, it's hard to stop, I think, anyway. Or I would assume it'd be hard to completely back away.
Yeah. So he'd obviously thrown red herrings to police.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't Irish.
Were he not?
No.
Didn't smoke?
Didn't smoke. So, 1971 he has his trial. 29th of November. They take 38 minutes.
To come back with guilty.
With guilty on all charges. So 2 weeks later, he's sentenced to 30 years in prison in Winchester Prison. September 1972, a year later, he tries to appeal, unsuccessful. Right, so he gets released in 1991, returned to Jersey.
He went back to Jersey.
He went back to Jersey.
Fucking arrogant prick.
And he'd only served between 19 and 20 years of his 30 years.
Can you imagine how upsetting that's got to be for some of them people? How many of them people still lived on that island?
It's disgusting.
When he's gone back, who then would have been grown adults?
Like I said, in my opinion, he's one of these pieces of shit, let's call them, that are about a boogeyman.
Yeah, yeah. Terrifying.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrifying.
So he gets released and he returns to Jersey.
Right.
Now, as you might have thought, he gets hounded out of Jersey. And then he moves to the Isle of Wight. And we don't hear anything from him. And he dies of a heart attack in 1994.
Good.
And that is the Beast of Jersey.
So he only were out 3 years then, wasn't he?
Yeah.
4. Yeah. Died of a heart attack. Good. I hope it will fucking slow.
Did you enjoy that?
Yeah. I did.
Creepy, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm gonna definitely, after we've finished this, I'm gonna go have a look, because I've never even watched anything with him. I've not listened to a podcast.
I'd never heard anything about him. But
No.
these are the little cases that I want to know about.
Yeah.
Like, we know all Ted Bundys and Ed Kempers and Richard Ramirez.
Sick of hearing Richard's name, especially
But
after the documentary.
I'd never heard of Beast of Jersey.
No, I've never heard of him. And when, we said we weren't going to tell each other, I'm glad, because it's like, it reminds me of you coming home from work and being excited to tell me about this thing that you've listened to.
The whole story.
Yeah. I'd get chapter and verse over tea. Romance at its finest, Oppo.
Yeah. So come on.
Do you want to hear mine?
I do.
Right, so I've chose to do my little case on a lady called Lisa Montgomery. She was all over the news early January this year.
This year?
This year. She was all over. Because Lisa Montgomery is the first female federal inmate, that's right, to be put to death by the US government in the last 67 years. So obviously she's been everywhere, all over the news. So that got me thinking. Didn't know anything about her. Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
What had she done that was so bad to be put to death?
Yeah.
I will say before I start, anybody listening, just want to pre-warn you, it could be classed as maybe a trigger warning for pregnancy.
Right.
Right, so I'll just put that out there. So, Lisa Montgomery, she was 36 years old when she committed the crime that she committed. The crime that she did was in December 2004. So it's not really that...
Oh, it's not
Yeah,
that
it's
old.
not old.
Right.
So she's basically served 13 years in Indiana.
Right.
And she was sentenced to death by lethal injection.
Right.
Right, so... Shall we get into the story?
Let's go.
So Lisa Montgomery lived, when she did this crime, she lived in Kansas, and her victim was called Bobby Joe, who lived in Skidmore, that were in Missouri. Is that how you say it? Missouri. So, Lisa married her teenage sweetheart, let's say,
Right.
quite young. They had 4 kids.
Right.
In really a short space of time. The last baby that she had... Sorry, just let me have a drink. The last child she had quite prematurely, so the doctors advised her to have her tubes tied.
Right.
I couldn't find exactly why they suggested it. All I could come across was she wouldn't carry another baby to full term.
Right.
So she agreed, and that was that. According to court, that was mentioned in court obviously later on, Lisa and her husband had to move about quite a bit because she was quite good at causing chaos,
Right.
drama,
A Karen.
a bit of a Karen. Her husband, who was called Carla, by the way, he actually said in court that the lying that she would do, it was that bad they had to move.
Right.
Right, so that's a bit of a feel for her, yeah?
She a bit cray-cray.
Yeah, she's gonna turn out to be a bit cray-cray. So in 90s, she faked being pregnant twice.
Right.
Even though her husband, Carl, knew that her tubes had been tied. Can't obviously get pregnant.
Is that a mental issue?
Who knows? But her and Carl then divorced in 1993. But they only divorced really briefly. They remarried the next year.
My God.
Don't know why. You know, this lady's lied to you twice.
Yeah.
About as if you're going to be that stupid.
She must have been really good in bed.
Something along them lines. So anyway, in 98, she then asked for another divorce, and she took the kids and she started a new life.
Another divorce?
Yeah, but that was final one.
Right.
But she then met a gentleman, apparently, according to people that knew him, he was just a really shy electrician. He was called Kevin Montgomery. He already had 3 kids from previous, and don't forget she had her 4.
Yeah.
So in 2000, her and Kevin Montgomery
Yeah.
then got married.
So this were a second marriage.
A second marriage, and they lived like this massive blended family.
Right.
So there were also Kevin's parents that lived with them, all the kids.
It
So
must have been a big house.
that was 7 teenagers. Are you serious?
Oh my God.
We've got 1.
That's
Nah,
enough.
I'd be out of that. Fuck that. So, from outsiders, they appeared as this just normal family, and she appeared as this really loving wife that absolutely lived for her kids. She would die for them. She'd do anything for them. Always talk about how proud she was.
But she were a bit cray-cray.
A little bit. Obviously, there's something there, isn't there?
Yeah.
For her to fake being pregnant twice to a man who knows you've had your tubes tied. But there was a little bit of concerns from neighbours that the kids were a bit neglected. They always looked like a bit scruffy, a bit dirty,
Right.
sort of. So there were a little bit of concerns, but nothing major. She went with Kevin long. She's then faked another pregnancy
To another man.
to another man, Kevin.
Yeah.
Right. So she told people the first time that she miscarried.
Right.
Just let me add as well, Kevin knew she'd had her tubes tied, but he didn't know what it meant. He didn't think to ask what it meant. So even though people were telling him that she's had her tubes tied, mate, she can't, he didn't know that that meant she couldn't get pregnant. So even though she faked this first pregnancy, he genuinely thought she was pregnant. So you've got to understand that. He genuinely thought.
Right, okay.
So he's obviously a little bit...
wet behind ears.
Yeah, bless him. A few months later, she then faked another pregnancy.
Right.
So this is the second fake pregnancy to Kevin.
Sorry, this is...
Are you with me?
I'm with you.
Right.
But I'm just in disbelief.
It only gets worse. This time, this pregnancy is going to lead to everything. And she actually went as far as giving everybody a due date, about the morning sickness, everything, you name it.
And did all these people know that she wasn't pregnant?
No, they believed her.
Right, okay.
So she has got people thinking
right.
she's about to give... She gave him a due date of December 2004.
Yeah.
And it's going to be that lie that led her to this exact crime and why she was committed, right? Why she was sentenced. So I'm going to introduce to you Bobby Joe. Bobby Joe were a 23-year-old, a wife to a gentleman called Zeb, who was her teenage sweetheart.
Right.
She'd married him in 2003, so a year earlier. Bobby and Zeb were dog breeders.
Right.
So they bred dogs that then they were called rat terriers.
Right.
She were a big part at breeding scene, what Bobby Joe, and they did a lot of dog shows.
Oh, so they were well known.
Yeah, yeah. So through the dog breeding, she was introduced to Lisa Montgomery.
Yeah.
On a forum. So before Facebook and everything, you know, it was this was like a
breeding forum.
A forum, yeah.
A dog breeding forum.
Called Ratter Chatter.
Ratter Chatter?
Yeah, because obviously ratting terriers.
I like it.
So on the forum, Bobby Joe were a massive part. She'd be your sort of admin on a Facebook page now.
Right.
So she was really big on this forum, really active. Everybody always said same, how caring she was by nature, and everybody spoke quite highly of her.
Right.
So, Bobby Joe and Lisa get chatting on Ratter Chatter. Bobby Joe announces to the group that she was pregnant and that she was going to have her baby, and she was due in January 2005.
Oh my God.
Okay, so all exciting news. Her and Zeb hadn't been married long.
Yeah.
New baby. Not long after Lisa then announced to the group that she were also going to have a baby.
Mm.
She went into detail, obviously telling them all about how she was due. She even made up a sick lie that she actually was pregnant with twins, but she lost one. So the one that she was currently carrying was basically a surviving twin.
This seems to me like a lady with a severe mental issue.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You would think so. But people on this forum began to get quite suspicious of Lisa because, like I said before, they did dog shows and things.
Yeah.
So a lot of dog shows, after they got the photos, they were uploaded to this forum, and members were, even as time got on, like so. Lisa,
why are you not showing?
Yeah, no way, nothing, no bum. And this were quite close to the December, you know, to the due date that she'd given. People were a bit, don't understand why she's not showing.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, Bobby Joe never questioned her.
Right.
She always said to other members that like spoke about it, she's never given me reason to not believe her.
Right.
In fact, Bobby Joe and Lisa became quite close because they then started privately messaging each other.
Oh God.
About symptoms of pregnancy, about names that they were choosing, you know, all normal things.
And am I right in thinking that this Lisa Montgomery, she's already got kids?
She's got 4.
Yeah.
Yep, and don't forget her now husband
Has got 3.
Has got 3.
Right.
Yeah. So let's continue. After exchanging messages for quite a bit, Lisa and Bobby Joe met at a dog show in 2004. Quite late on. In the late 84, a gentleman comes into this tale called Jason Dawson. Jason Dawson, again, is all part of the breeding group
Right.
and everything. He gets a email from a lady that was called Darlene Fisher. Very,
Right.
very Darlene.
Darling.
Yeah. So Darlene Fisher. Jason obviously were a breeder of the rat terriers as well. He were also friends with Bobby Joe. He were members of the Rat Chatter,
They
all
yeah.
big group. No one had heard of Darlene before.
Yeah.
But here she was, emailing Dawson, asking if he knows of anybody that wants any puppies adopting.
Right.
Basically, she spun him this tale that she really wanted to buy her kids one for Christmas.
Okay.
So Dawson decided to point her in the direction of Bobby Joe, because he knew Bobby Joe had a litter due that'd be
Yeah.
ready for around Christmas time. All well and good. He explained how she could contact her on the forum, on Rat Chatter, give her links to her website, because she had her own website and stuff. So, a message from Darlene Fisher was then sent to Bobby Joe on the 15th of December, of December, and it basically read, "I was sent your way by Jason. I've been unable to reach you by email or phone. Please get in touch, as I'm really interested in adopting one of your puppies and would like to ask you a few questions." So Bobby Joe then replied, saying, "I have emailed you the directions so we can meet. I hope you got it okay. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow AM." So don't forget, this is now what they think is someone called Darlene Fisher.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the very next day, Zeb went to work like normal, leaving Bobby Joe alone at home with dogs. She was waiting for Darlene Fisher, as they'd arranged. She was on the phone to her mum, Bobby Joe. Bobby Joe were on the phone to her mum, and she was saying that I've met this lady. She's coming to look at some pups. She's going to come by. Said her name was Darlene, and that she'd.
Which is how a lot of people get in touch.
Yeah, of course they
to
do.
buy puppies, so it's nothing out of the ordinary.
No. So then the doorbell went. So Bobby Joe said to her mum, "I'm going to have to go. I'll speak to you later." She answered the door. But when she went to the door, it wasn't Darlene Fisher. It was Lisa Montgomery.
Of course.
Stood there. Before Bobby could invite her in, because obviously they were friends, she didn't have any reason to question why she was there, sort of thing. And don't forget, Bobby Joe were also 8 months pregnant at this time.
Yeah.
So Lisa took out a cord out of her pocket and went on to strangle Bobby Joe from behind until Bobby Joe stopped struggling. Right?
So did she kill her?
Just.
Go on.
She then rolls Bobby Joe onto her back. With a kitchen knife, she began to open up her stomach.
My God.
Once she had made a big enough cut, she took out the unborn baby, wrapped it in a blanket. This baby was a little girl, by the way. And she walked back outside to her car and drove away.
And just left Bobby Joe.
And left Bobby Joe.
Right. What a piece of shit.
At 3:30, Bobby Joe's mum decided to call in on her.
Mm-hmm.
And she found her laying there, blood everywhere, as you can imagine.
I can only imagine what.
It actually turns out that Bobby Joe was that woman would have been in. She's not laid in an hospital bed having a C-section. She's had someone butcher her stomach.
I can't believe. I can only just think of what she must have thought as she.
Right, so
did she regain consciousness at the scene?
Let's just. So she was unconscious. Sorry. Right. In her head, she got big clumps of blonde hair in her hands. Obviously, where she struggled.
Good girl.
She struggled a little bit. Her mum obviously rang police, explained what she'd walked in on. Obviously explained that she was pregnant and now this baby's missing. Absolutely no sign of this missing, this baby. So paramedics arrive. Unfortunately, Bobby Joe died.
Oh,
they were unable to. She was pronounced dead at 4:27. So not long, like an hour after her mum found her. So she'd suffered for about an hour and a half after Lisa left.
My God.
So it was said that the baby was likely still alive because she was 38 weeks pregnant.
Right.
So just think about that. The police then had to do this massive media launch, this massive investigation. So the local sheriff at that time decided they were going to put out an amber warning for the missing baby.
Yeah.
It actually took some convincing, apparently, from what I've read. They wouldn't allow him to do it straight away because they didn't have any information. Remember, this baby has been taken from the womb, so there's no hair colour, no eye colour. We don't know if it's girl or boy.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So it took some convincing to be able to do this. But the next day, on December 17th, this alert was put out. And this news travelled like wildfire. Another breeder now comes into the story called Diane. Again, same scene, dog shows, 4-room, everything. She decided to contact the police off her own back.
Right.
To look in to this Darlene Fisher.
Right.
Because as she went through, she decided to look back on some posts on 4-room, and she came across one where it actually said on the 15th of December, Bobby had commented to Darlene saying she had emailed over the address, as I said before.
Okay, yeah.
So that then made her a bit suspicious. So she
Person
decided,
of interest.
Yeah, go to the police, all this lot. So they started doing some digging, and they ended up getting into all accounts, emails. Sure enough, found everything.
Yep.
But obviously, they needed to then track down a Darlene Fisher, which we now know that Darlene Fisher
don't exist.
No. So of course, that's how it all comes out, that Darlene, the police traced it back and it got them to Kevin Montgomery.
Yep.
Obviously, Lisa's then husband. Now, so, as the story for Lisa bit goes, after she walked out of that house, on the 17th of December, the day the alert was put out, Lisa and Kevin went to this local cafe to show off this bundle of joy.
Oh my God.
This new arrival to their family, which, by the way, they decided to call Abigail.
What did her husband say?
So this is the story she spun him. She told her husband and all friends, anyone asking, that she'd been out shopping the day before, so on the 16th, where she went into labour in store. She was then taken to the birth and women's centre, where she went on to give birth to this baby. She then rang her husband, listen, she just rang Kevin.
Right.
And basically said, I've give birth, we've now got a little girl, can you come and pick me up from Birth and Women's Centre?
Oh, I've done it.
Yeah, that's it, done it. Soz mate, you were late. Right? Nobody actually, everyone bought this story as well.
Fucking hell.
That she just give birth and she, rang her husband. Bearing in mind, it were Kevin and 2 of his teenage sons that got in car and drove over to the woman and birth centre to collect her. They were all excited for this new little girl. So meanwhile, FBI are now sat outside Montgomery House because they traced the IP of Darlene and it got them to Kevin Montgomery.
Right.
Obviously. They basically just sat waiting for this rusty red car to turn up. that the neighbour had mentioned previously. Obviously it did. Out of the car were Lisa, Kevin and baby Abigail. So FBI approached. They asked Lisa a few questions. Lisa spins up the same tale that she told her husband. She gave birth yesterday alone. She went into labour and out shopping.
Surely they can check that.
Well, that's what FBI did. They went and checked and there were obviously no record of Lisa Montgomery giving birth. So basically they just arrested her. As soon as that come back, they arrested her. But they actually charged her with kidnapping, leading to a death.
Right.
Not murder.
Right, yeah.
I don't understand why. Couldn't find much on it. And then it was soon established.
Is that because she attacked her not to kill her, attacked her to take her baby?
Yeah, but surely if something's been that far out, she's come up with this lie, she's befriended someone that's also pregnant with all purpose of stealing that baby. So obviously it was premeditated.
Yeah. Now,
did she expect to just go there, knock Bobby Joe unconscious?
Well, she's not a doctor, is she, so?
No. But anyway, so FBI soon established that Kevin actually, like you said before, a bit wet behind ears, bless him. He didn't have a clue. Did not have a clue that this child wanted his child, didn't have a clue.
I'm not sure I'm having that.
No, it's been extensively looked into apparently.
Right, go on.
It was said that he was the kind of guy that was easily taken advantage of. I think he were a bit vulnerable. So I think that's why they genuinely believed he didn't have any sort of involvement in everything that happened.
Right.
So obviously she was taken to trial, and yeah, she became one of the first women in the US to be sentenced to death, and were placed on death row. She only actually served 13 years though, because that's why she's been executed this January. Apparently laws are coming into change.
So she's served 13 years
for that, and then she died.
Put to death.
Yep, 13th of January 2021.
Did she admit it all?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there were no reasoning behind. Like, she never actually said why she did it.
Yeah.
She admitted it. They tried to go down the manic route and said that she'd struggled all her life with mental illness.
Yeah.
They suspected a bit of bipolar, but there were absolutely no evidence to back this up. Like, there were no medical appointments, there were no medical doctors, she was never medicated or anything like that. So that basically got blew out of water. They said no, we're not having it. It obviously, like I said, premeditated. She'd thought a lot about it.
So is baby Abigail back with her dad?
Yeah, baby Abigail is now 16 years old and she now lives with Zeb. Oh, they also renamed her Victoria Joe, after like a mum.
Wow.
So yeah, that's my story for you, my case.
That's mad.
Yeah, it blew my mind. Which I then got listening to another podcast that did a feature on Bobby Joe and Lisa Montgomery, and they had, I wish I'd have wrote his name down now, but they had a gentleman there that obviously he was a psychiatrist that did a lot of evaluations for inmates in one of the states, and he visited Lisa Montgomery personally, had a lot of involvement with her. He did all her assessments, evaluations, and the gentleman doing the podcast asked if he, in his professional opinion, would he have ever said that she had a mental illness, and he said no. Really, in all the time he spent with her, visiting her in prison, interviewing her, she never appeared as though she had a mental illness.
Wow.
Because there is reports that whilst being on death row, that she's been quite manic and quite unpredictable, but he said he's never ever experienced any of that. And he spent a lot of hours with her, according to his interview.
Wow. Well, I suppose we'll best end as first episode.
We're best, because we're running into just over an hour. We don't want to bore everyone to death, do we?
I've enjoyed it. I were really nervous before.
Yeah, we both were, but I think we've relaxed a lot, haven't we?
So if you've enjoyed the cases, by all means have a Google, check them out for yourselves.
Please go Google the mask because from Phil's case, because you're not going to understand. Hopefully everyone that's listened this far anyway has already done that.
Yeah.
They haven't waited till the end because I couldn't.
And let us know if we did a good job. I'm sure at some point we'll have some sort of social media platform for you to abuse us on.
Yeah, we're hoping so.
Yeah, so it's a see you later from me.
And a see you from me. Until next time.